So we have reached the final installment of the Bible versus the Good Book for Women's History Month. We have spent this last month talking through so many amazing women of God who are in the Bible, but don't necessarily get talked about as much as some others do. There are some awesome, awesome women who have amazingly powerful testimonies that are recorded in the Bible that we just really need to get out there. So we have focused on them. And unfortunately, I don't have enough time and space to talk about them all in this time. So there are a few who get honorable mentions, and I want to make sure that we say their names. I want to talk about Timothy's mother and grandmother, Eunice and Lois. Those two women are dynamic. They walked in the faith and people knew of their faith and they presented Timothy with that faith so that he could be called and used in the way that he was. It didn't take any time or effort and all those other things. It didn't take that for them to find him because they knew who his mom and his grandmother were. They didn't talk about his dad and his uncle and his grandfather. They talked about his mom and his grandmother. So make sure you are taking them babies to church. Make sure you praying in front of them and you are teaching them what they need to see and to know. And it's going to sit and resonate and God's going to use them. We got the prophetess Anna. She spent years in the temple waiting for the Messiah to be born so she could preach that message. She preached Jesus in the temple, y'all. We have Job's wife, who is a faithful woman who loved her husband. And despite what everybody's ever said about her, I see her differently. She was prepared to live her life as a beggar. She was prepared to lose everything just so that her husband would be out of pain and out of misery. That's a faithful wife. That's a ride or die right there. Just like Abraham had Sarah. She walked with this man as he wandered the desert. He didn't have a destination. And he said, God told me to go. And she said, cool, let's get our stuff and go. You don't see places in there where she was like, your God ain't give us no directions. None of that. She walked with him. When he said do it, she moved with him. She did what he said. And they were able to be blessed. And he was the father of nations, meaning she was the mother of those nations. But I want to talk through one. I have to get her story out, Zipporah. Her story is found in Exodus 2 and 4 for what we're going to talk about today, but she's kind of all sprinkled out throughout there. That is Moses' wife. We all know Moses, but we don't really pay attention to his wife in a way I think that we should. Zipporah is awesome. First off, we talked about Deborah and Jael back a couple weeks ago, and Jael is of Jethro's family. This is the daughter of Jethro. They play no games when it comes to their women. They make sure that they are strong, that they are assertive, that they are capable of doing what they need to do, and they are prepared for whatever life throws at them. And you see it in their actions. So Zipporah is out gathering water for her father's flock. And the shepherds give him a hard time because it's her and her sisters coming. And you know she look good. You know she do. And they give her a hard time. And they do it so often that it takes them a long time to gather the water. It takes them a long time to get what they need done. And so when they get home, this day that she encounters her husband and meets Moses, and Moses stands up for them, her father is like, hey, what's different? So Moses comes on and stays in her house, and Zipporah continues to work. She didn't say, oh, it's a man in the house now. Let me go get my nails done and sit down. He can handle this water for me. He can handle these flocks for me. He can water these sheep for me. She was like, nah, I got a job to do. I'm going to go about my business. And she does. And we got to give credit to these women who are like, yeah, okay, there's a man, but I also am capable. And she did that. She handled it. But the part of her story that I want to highlight and talk about, a real ride or die, somebody who knows her strengths are his weaknesses. And she's able to carry him at times when he don't even understand what's happening. They are traveling to Egypt. This is after God has appeared to Moses. They had their burning bush experience. And Moses is on his way back to Egypt to tell Pharaoh that God said, let his people go worship. Zipporah packs their children up and she go with them. When you got a man on a mission and you got to manage a mobile household, you got to manage children, and you have to manage the expectations and take care of this family as you go. She didn't say, all right, you go handle what God told you to handle. We'll be right here when you get back. She packed everything up and went with him. because she understood her role and position in his life. She was going to work with him. God said, go. All right, we got to go. We a family now. God said, you're going to do this great thing. That's cool. I'm going to make sure you got some breakfast on your stomach when you leave the house in the morning because I got you. I'm here with you. And that's how she was with him. They get along the way. And the thing that we have to understand and remember is it doesn't matter what you want to do. You can't answer the call of God the way you want to answer it. You can't move the way you want to move. You got to do it the way God says do it. And Moses didn't exactly do it the way God said do it. He was Hebrew and there was a covenant. God said, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to put my hand on you. You're going to be my people. But you got to be circumcised. And he forgot about that with his two boys. But because she knew her place as a wife, because she knew her place as a woman, she knew enough to know his culture. She knew enough to know his God. She knew enough to know what the covenant was. Even though it didn't have nothing to do with her, she wasn't circumcised. It wasn't a thing that she had to do. It was something that he was supposed to take care of that he did not, because they lived outside of the space where this custom was practiced for him. So, on the way to Egypt, God sent an angel of death to come and take Moses out. What you're not going to do is walk through my house and do things the way you want to do them. And when she recognized what was happening, this is the value of a good woman in your corner. When she recognized what happened, when she recognized that there was a covenant and they were outside of it, that he couldn't go back and do what God had him to do any type of way, he had to do it correctly. She corrected the situation. She said, let me fix this. Let me get these boys together. Let me fix this up. Improve it. That woman knew God. She knew the customs and cultures and the requirements of God. And she protected her husband. Something about a queen on a chessboard that do her thing. It's something about that that makes it different. My girl Zipporah knew how to cover her household. She knew how to protect her husband. While he was doing what God said do, and he was focused and he was on a mission, she had his back. She was watching his six. She had it. And she knew how to fix it. That's a ride or die. That's the wife you want. She was willing to work. She put up with some foolishness from people to get what she needed to do done. When they were hassling her at that well, when Moses came and stepped in and helped her out, it's because it took long every day. She went through this every day and she was like, whatever it is, I still need this water. So I'm going to go ahead and fight with y'all till I get it. But I'm going to get this water because this is what I need. She was prepared to work through difficulties. She was prepared to overcome all types of adversity. Her and her sisters came in there ready to fight to get what they needed to get. They didn't sit back and say, it's too hard, Dad. They won't let us. That was a woman about her business even before she had a man. When we talk about a man finding a wife, finding a good thing, she was a whole person before he ever showed up. She had a job. She did it no matter what it took. And then when she became a wife and a mother, she understood enough to know that you can't go to God any type of way. You can't take the things of God and turn it into what you want to turn it into. That's why their mothers used to tell us, don't put your hands on that in remembrance of me table. Get off that altar. I know it's a table to you, but it's sacred in the house of God. So I want us to remember, ladies, remember, he was a whole person before you met him. And even if you haven't met him yet, you a whole person. Be about your father's business. Go do the work that your father said for you to do. And I don't mean you got to work the job your daddy gave you. I mean, go see about your heavenly father. Make sure you carrying out the lessons that he wanted you to carry out. Make sure you're doing the things that he wants you to do. And when you get a husband, understand your role is to govern and protect your family. Your job is to have his back. Don't let him be out here half-stepping. If that means you got to pick out his clothes, pick them out. If it means you got to buy them. Don't have my hair looking a mess and you look good. So I am going to end here, but I want to tell you guys, happy Women's History Month. Find some inspiration in the Bible. Find some women that mean something to you and resonate with you. Find you who you want to be like. Proverbs 31 is a great goal, but let's start with just being about your father's business. Y'all be blessed.